13 can be an unlucky number, especially if you are one of 13 people sharing a 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment in New Orleans during Mardi Gras. 13 was actually a pretty lucky number for me because on this trip down to New Orleans, a whole lot of things almost went horribly wrong. They basically did, but then they turned out all right, except for one thing. It was 1988. I was a 24-year-old grad student in St. Louis and took a trip down to New Orleans for Mardi Gras. Several things just nearly went horribly wrong, as I said. First, I almost lost a rugby game for my team. I was down there in a rugby tournament, and I made a horrible play right at the end of the game, and I was almost going to be the GOAT, and it turned out all right. We ended up winning the game, fortunately. On the way down there, one of us driving the car hit an ice patch in Arkansas and spun out in the middle of the road at 60 miles an hour, 360 degrees, but it was okay. Not a single person was hurt. The car didn't have a scratch on it. One of my friends got busted for drugs down there. Turned out okay. It happened to be a misdemeanor amount, and it turned out all right for him and for us. This story's not about that. This story is about Yana. We got down there, and we were going to stay with some friends of mine, Keith and Mark. We did stay at their apartment, and it wasn't just me and the couple guys with me in the car. It was a whole bunch of other friends of theirs down, and there were 12 guys in this apartment, 12 guys and Yana. Yana was a woman from Finland who had been hitchhiking across America, decided to stop in New Orleans for Mardi Gras, and somebody saw her in Audubon Park, said, well, we've got a place for you to stay. Yana, probably not the most careful person in the world, said, sure. Had a great first day there in New Orleans, and to my surprise, because I wasn't really trying, Yana starts paying attention to me. Now, Yana was a beautiful woman, absolutely classically gorgeous. I think my wife is the prettiest woman I've ever seen in my life. She is like Mary Ann on Gilligan's Island. Yana was like McSteamy, to mix my TV metaphors. So Yana's paying attention to me, and all of us were going to throw our sleeping bags on the floor. Keith, whose apartment it was, very gallantly that night, offers Yana and me the bedroom. This is great. So I go into the bedroom, and door closes, and Yana gives me a big hug, and she says, you know, I think this evening should just be about caring. And I hope you don't mind. I don't want us to have sex. I just want to care about each other. So, okay, we cared. And even though when you're 24 years old at a rugby tournament, you've had 17 beers already at Mardi Gras, the last thing you want to be is cared about. But okay, I can care. Tomorrow was another day, and tomorrow was a great day. I walked out of the room that morning, and I let every single guy in that place think exactly what they wanted to think. Because that's how I was. And I've told this story 100 times since then. As you can imagine, it's been 30 years, and every time I've told it, I've let people think exactly what they want to. But truth be told, nothing actually happened other than caring that night. Day was great, terrific. Next day at Mardi Gras, parades, another rugby game, fantastic day. Went out to Phil's that night. Phil's is a bar at a seedy end of town. Got back to my car. The car we were driving was my parents' station wagon I borrowed. We had a cooler of red, white, and blue beer. Red, white, and blue beer is St. Louis's finest beer in 1988. $2 a six-pack, $8 a case. We had 2 cases in there. We chipped in. Get back to the car, and there's a brick through the back window. And everything's stolen from the car, including our cooler of red, white, and blue beer. And Yana is spinning out. She is freaking, what's wrong? My backpack, my backpack. What's in your backpack? Calm down, calm down. In her backpack was, which is now stolen, her airline ticket back to Finland. This is 1988. $300-400 worth of cash, some prescription medications, she said, and an address book with the names of everybody she was going to stay with in the United States, friends of her family and relatives, and contact information. She is beside herself, and I am thinking in my selflessness, oh, I'm never going to get any now. That's the kind of guy I was, right? So she's inconsolable. We call the police. They can't be there for 2-3 hours. It's New Orleans and Mardi Gras. Forget it. We'll drive back to Keith's place. We get a block. Yana screams, there's my backpack. There's a guy walking on the street with a backpack, and of course you want to see what you want to see in that moment, but we humored her. We turned around. We came back. And she was dead certain this guy was wearing a backpack. So we stopped the car, a bunch of these guys. We get out of the station wagon. We're like Force 10 from St. Louis. We surround this guy, and she pulls it off, and sure enough, it is her backpack. And in it is her ticket, every dollar, her medications, her address book, and her clothes neatly folded, which they were not before. The guy protests his innocence. And one of my friends with me, Matt, slaps the can of red, white, and blue beer out of his hand. Where'd you get that, you son of a bitch? Guy takes off running, runs through the cordon of us that had surrounded him, runs down the street. And we very bravely did nothing. We Yeah. So there. So that was it. We're all feeling much, much better, much more relieved. I'm wondering how I'm going to explain this to my parents about the brick through the window, but okay, we get back to Keith's place, and Keith gives us the bedroom again, and it's more caring. I was cared about. It's okay, that happens, and nothing else exciting or terribly interesting happened on that trip. We drove back to St. Louis. Jana, I presume, went back to Finland after she hitchhiked around a little, and that was pretty much the end of the weekend of these near misses. And last April, when I was lucky enough to qualify for this event, I was hoping that there would be a theme that I could tie in with this. Blue, okay, that's good. That was red. It's a stretch, but okay. So I wanted to give a PS to this story, though, because I have told this story a lot of times, and it's kind of a bad ending. It's not much of an ending, and I thought, I'll look up Jana. I'll find out what happened to her. I'll find out about her life. So I did, and I Googled Jana, went on Facebook and everything. Jana's last name, which I won't say, is apparently Finnish for Smith. There were a lot of them. I messaged as many as I could. And I actually got a response from one, message back and forth. The English wasn't very good, but okay. And it turns out that this woman was about the right age, and were you on this trip? And no, that wasn't me, but I think you must mean my cousin. My cousin is also named Jana. We have the same last name. And she had hitchhiked through America about a year before she died. This is messaging back and forth, over a period of a day or two. And it's in a little broken English. And I got up the courage, and I, I'm very, very sorry. I'm almost afraid to ask, but oh my God, what happened? She couldn't have been any older than me. How did she die? And the response came back, and it made me rethink and sort of turn on my head what it meant for things to almost go horribly wrong and instead turn out all right, and made me rethink what it was to care, and put a new perspective on what it was to be sort of entitled straight white male who only really cares about getting laid or letting other people think he did. Because the response on my screen was, my cousin died of AIDS.